used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Yo, good morning, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys are doing all right. Hope you guys are having a good start to the week. Let me know if my volume's okay. Good to see you guys in the chat. Gazgano, Pogo Stick, Tattoo Destroyer, Israel, Cold War, Clate the Great, OG Blockchain, Smashy, Nicoloo. Good to see you guys in. Let me just finish this post real quick and we'll jump right into it here, starting up in about 1 minute here. Go ahead and grab a quick drink. Alrighty, let's get going on this shit, guys. Man, it was a great weekend. My brother and I were in Philadelphia sponsoring and rooting for Big Ben Rothwell here. Look at how good he looks with this heavyweight belt, guys. I'm really proud of our sponsor here. And these other fights were crazy too. Look at these crazy fights, but it was just a great time in Philadelphia. Got to explore the city, soak in the history. And met some cool people. That's me and CF right there. And ultimately, it was a good time, man. And so I made a code for you guys. It's code FIGHT, 25% off Market Cipher. So no expiry date right now. You can shoot me an email. My email's in the description if you need like some time. And I'll hold on to the code discount for you. But you can get Market Cipher today with code FIGHT, 25% off. And make sure you follow me over on Twitter here for additional TA posts and updates and motivation and all that stuff. And let's jump right into these crypto markets, especially the big four, and then we'll get into some chart recommendations for you guys. So yes, it's good to be back. And so Bitcoin, there's two VWAPs that kind of define Bitcoin's range right now, and that is one, the Inauguration Day VWAP, this pink line placed on Inauguration Day, which happens to also be last week's VWAP as well. So there's some strong confluence around this 103.8 to 103.9K region here. That's kind of the level that Bitcoin lost recently. And so it came down, and look where it came and settled down to. It comes and it settles down on this powerful bi-monthly VWAP support. So that's your year-to-date VWAP, the white line down there, and the December VWAP, the previous monthly VWAP, both hovering around 99K. And it makes sense that we kind of get snagged here. Now, at the start of a new week, something that I teach about VWAPs is that it's common for us when a new week begins to return back to the previous week's VWAP. It doesn't have to happen all the time, but given the strength of these like massive VWAPs, this is a year-to-date VWAP here, this monthly VWAP, so you'd think that this level would hold for like a sufficient bounce of some kind. And knowing what you know about VWAPs, you would expect that if we could trend over the current weekly VWAP that just spawned, then we should be able to come up and retest the previous weekly VWAP, aka that Inauguration Day VWAP there. And so this move very well could happen off of this strong year-to-date support here. In fact, it's a likelihood that it does. But we are definitely like hamstringed. We're a little bit injured from this move happening because now we are slowly pulling the 5-day SMA into a downtrend, that black area there. The inauguration VWAP is also beginning to slope down, and so we likely do come up and try to retest these levels as resistance, but they are resistance. And ultimately, by losing the Inauguration Day VWAP, this pink line, it makes you think that the market wants to retest the Trump effect. And by the Trump effect, I mean the VWAP placed on election day. This gray line here, currently down around 94K, but it's been evolving and growing with us over time. It's becoming a more and more reliable level as it matures. This is a VWAP placed on election day, and this clearly defines from a volume-weighted standpoint how the market is reacting to the Trump effect. And so by losing the Inauguration Day, by Inauguration Day VWAP becoming a sell the news VWAP, it does make sense intrinsically that we want to go down there and retest that Trump effect. Is the Trump effect still alive? And so that very well could happen if we lose this powerful bi-monthly support. And one thing I've noticed about the last month of Bitcoin price action is it doesn't undulate around its monthly and quarterly VWAPs like it was doing last year. The price is very much being dictated by these Trump-themed VWAPs, these psychology-based, Trump-based VWAPs are running the market. For instance, at the start of January, last year, we would have expected that at the onset of a new quarter, you get a nice clean retest of the previous quarter before continuing up or going down or whatever it wanted to do. But you see that the price found support on that Trump VWAP. So the Trump VWAP is derailing the normal undulations of the market. And so I believe that like the inauguration VWAP is like what it's telling us is very important. And that Trump VWAP may come into play here at that 94.3K level. So that's about where I'm at with Bitcoin. Potentially a bounce here, but overall, I believe the Trump VWAP may need to be tested in the next week or so. Now, looking at the other major coins here, we've got Solana also coming down, finding some decent support here, not only at its Trump VWAP, but the December VWAP support there. Now, if Bitcoin wants to go down, it'll pull Solana down with it potentially. And Solana is in a new 5-day downtrend there. It's under its inauguration day VWAP. And so you could there's a little bit of a snag here. It might come up a little bit, but ultimately in the next week or so, going into February, it might have to go down lower. And as for Ethereum, you can see that Ethereum has been struggling from a VWAP standpoint more than any other coin in the top 4. We already lost long ago that monthly year-to-date VWAP there, and it's actually exploring the bottom of its VWAP gulag ranges here. And so it's in kind of a make or break kind of spot. You see how it's basically barely holding all of these major VWAP levels. And so you could have a little bottom here on ETH, but also if we're trending below all VWAPs, that's kind of a bearish, it's almost like opening the floodgates for more bearishness to occur, similar to how we would respond if price was trending over all the VWAPs. That's like the first thing we would want to see for additional pumps. Like you could see back here, once it breaks over all VWAPs, you get some additional follow through there. So watch for Ethereum. Can it hold in this tight VWAP gulag range? If not, it might need to go lower. And when we look at ETH BTC, though there may be some short-term bouncing and indecision here, you know, in the medium term, it's going to take time for ETH BTC to trend up. I mean, look at the downslopingness of these multiple quarters of VWAPs here. And this is just simply a knife catch at this current point in history. So while it is attractive to be stacking ETH from like a very long-term macro standpoint, there's a lot of whales and people with infinite money just buying ETH because it is like good value right now. It's fair value. It's under VWAPs, which is like a good place that you would want to buy assets at for good long-term value. But at the same time, you guys got to know that like a quarter has to go sideways first, you know, and then the next quarter, like, will end up aiming up for you. So just expect ETH BTC to like grind out for a really long time. And then finally, once we start getting quarterly VWAP sloping up on this ETH BTC chart, that's when ETH really starts to pick up and gain that momentum there. Now, I haven't really looked at Sol BTC yet, but you can see Sol BTC also kind of looking like it might start struggling around all of its VWAPs here. It's just a tightly coiled bundle of resistance that it's now fallen itself into. So we'll see. Can Sol chew its way back up, or is Sol also going to be struggling under its VWAPs here? We'll just have to see. Now, as for Ripple, Ripple is like, of the top 4, like Ripple is the strongest around its VWAPs. It doesn't even get anything close to a quarterly retest at the onset of a new quarter. It's over all of its VWAPs still. The only VWAP that's really bearing down on it right now is that Inauguration Day VWAP. And you can see that ever since Trump's inauguration, Ripple didn't do anything. And so it had like a bit of a markdown here, down to that year-to-date VWAP, and this is a strong level of support. And we are over a lot of big VWAPs here, so it's tough for me to say short Ripple. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is still the strongest chart out of the top 4 here, and it's finding its support on the year-to-date here. But, you know, in the coming days/weeks, we did pull into a 5-day downtrend, and that Inauguration Day VWAP is sloped down. Just know that if it reclaims like 3.1, it's probably going bullish again. But you know, if it loses the year to date, that might be a signal of a shift in change in direction on Ripple. But ultimately, you won't see me shorting Ripple anytime soon. And that's pretty much my take on the crypto markets right now, guys. So let me catch up on the chat. I see some people talking about DeepSeek AI. Yeah, there's people on Twitter talking about quantum computing hacking Bitcoin and like DeepSeek AI being this major disruptor for the Nvidia stock and cryptos and all this stuff. So there's a lot of FUD going around. People trying to justify why the price is tired. But if you guys have been following me on Twitter or on YouTube or wherever, we've been warning of the signs since before Trump coin was released, since before DeepSeek AI was released. And so the signs, the ricketiness in the markets has been here. And so this is not like random FUD. This is kind of like some after the fact, like you get some bearish TA and we start scrambling for reasons as to why the market is not going up only. So refreshing you guys on this Bitcoin monthly wave situation here. It is possible that we could get a red dot in the next couple of days, but I don't think it's likely. I think that January closes and we unfortunately are going to have to go into February with this stench of uncertainty just a little bit longer. But by the time we're in late February, I think it will be clear. There could be that red dot forming in February. There's a chance that it spawns in March as well. But February could be the month where we do get that red dot. And typically a red dot suggests a pretty sizable move here. You can see once we get the red dot this last time, that was kind of like the start of that, like a 30% correction. And even back here, this was like lagging. Like the red dot, unfortunately, on the monthly is quite lagging, guys. So by the time you actually get the red dot, the move has kind of played out. But you can see like when you get a red dot even back here, that was quite a large 25% correction as well there. And just overall in Bitcoin's history, when you get a second red dot over the 60 line, being over the 60 line on this monthly momentum wave is very nice. It's like runaway train status. You see big God candles and things are awesome when we're trending over the 60 line. Like see, like when as soon as we reclaim the 60 line back here, that was only the start of a huge party, right? But by the time you get like that second red dot in these crypto bull runs, like see first red dot, second red dot, first red dot, second red dot. And so here we are again, first red dot, second red dot. It really makes you question if we're about to get a red dot here. And when you look back in history, this is like a 25 to, could be anywhere from a 25 to a 25% correction to a macro correction. Who the hell knows, man? But it's like not a cause to like be a Bitcoin bear. Like most people who understand Bitcoin are not bearish on it. But at Market Cipher, like we don't take the easy way out when it comes to giving you guys information on Bitcoin. I'm not just gonna bull post infinitely and hide under Bitcoin's skirt, with Bitcoin's super bullish fundamentals. Like I'm still gonna come out and tell you guys like when these waves are overbought, when things are looking weird. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep tracking this monthly wave situation just because it's my job, even though I hate being the bearer of bad news and a harbinger of doom. It's just what I gotta do as a user of Market Cipher. So we're gonna keep following these monthly signs, and that's about it for the spiel. And so I'm gonna open up the floor to you guys for some chart recommendations. Give me some of your favorite coins that you guys are trading. Maybe a coin that you're looking, did it pull back sufficiently, or just any questions you guys have about anything else that you're looking at. I'll do my best to help you guys for the next 20 minutes or so here, and then I'll let you go. But Nicolou wants me to look at Kaspa. Alrighty here, Kaspa. Look at Kaspa underneath its VWAPs here, just off of first glance here. Definitely pulling into a 5-day downtrend. You see that black area beginning to slope down there. Underneath the year to date, underneath of all of last year's VWAPs here. Look at this tightly bundled net of resistance up here at like 13 to 15 cents up here. That's a tough gulag to get out of, and we're actually under the year to date. So I'm a little bearish on Kaspa in the medium term here. It might find a bottom for sure, but right now it's not looking too hot, man. When you fall under all VWAPs, look back here. When you fall under all VWAPs, there's a potential of downside. So be mindful of that. Caspa really needs to reclaim its monthly VWAP at around 12.5 cents for me to flip into a more hopeful stance on this currently. Turd Ferguson wants me to look at FartCoin. FartCoin is no joke. This is a joke coin, but it is no joke, man. This is a coin that's been sapping the liquidity out of the frothiest, juiciest parts of the bull run. A lot of that hyping top period liquidity is like getting sucked out of what should be going into Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Sol. It's going into FartCoin and Trumpcoin and all this bullshit. But these coins are really volatile and make people a lot of money. So I'm not gonna hate on it, but we are under the year to date, under that inauguration day VWAP, slope down here in kind of a downtrend. FartCoin has been quite bullish, so it's a tough one to like want to short here. But right now it's trending under its current weekly VWAP. Now it has a very large weekly LeapFrog at play here. So like if we start trending over the weekly VWAP, guys, here on FartCoin, which is about like, I think this is this 96 cents? Yeah, like 97 cents on FartCoin. If we start trending over that, it could be likely that FartCoin gets this volatile 50% retest of that inauguration day VWAP resistance. That's a move definitely to look out for, guys. If you start seeing things trending on the current weekly VWAP, anticipate that previous weekly VWAP as a potential level of resistance that this chart wants to go to. And so amazing trading opportunities on FartCoin. Obviously, if it loses the weekly VWAP here and we fall under the previous monthly VWAP, there might be a sharp dump down to the Trump VWAP for sure. But it is kind of a strong chart, so just be mindful of the possibilities here. Pluto Bollock wants me to look at Spell. I don't know much about Spell from a fundamental standpoint. Don't know much about this project, but you can see Spell's been performing quite well. Unlike most cryptos, which have a bullish weekly LeapFrog, this one actually has a bearish weekly LeapFrog. So if the weekly LeapFrog fills on this chart, you're looking at a 16% dump, back down, testing that inauguration day VWAP as support with the weekly VWAP there. Not that I would necessarily short this because you're in a pretty strong 5-day uptrend. See that black area there? Your 5-day uptrend is sloped up. Your year-to-date sloped up. And so it's likely that this chart finds some solid support and continues up. Just be mindful that a healthy pullback might be about to commence. Now, if we start reclaiming the weekly VWAP and trending back up here, it just might be super bullish. And it might just continue up without having to do that much needed retest there. But if I was a betting man, I would say this probably does pull back to that previous weekly VWAP for you. Or the year to date, which is probably a good long on Spell. Jay Freeman wants me to look at ADA. Let's see here. And anyone who's new dropping in, thanks for joining me. Hope you guys got nice morning coffee, and these morning dumps aren't hurting you too bad. Every time markets dump, it's an opportunity. It's not a time to be a goblin and dance on people's graves or go demon time. It's a time for compassion and understanding and recognizing that when the markets dip, that's an opportunity for like the common man to jump in at a fair price. We don't want everyday people buying in at the top. And so days like this are normal and healthy and shit. But you can see ADA slipping into a 5-day downtrend here. So if you long it, you're kind of knife catching, even though it's found what looks to be a little bit of a base here found on that Trump VWAP. Definitely a nice strong candle here forming on this Trump VWAP here. And so if there's a weekly LeapFrog on ADA, if you start trending over this weekly VWAP at 90 cents, you have a bullish weekly LeapFrog play, potential 9-10% retracement back up here to that inauguration VWAP. I'd love to see that on ADA, even if the larger downtrend takes over from there. I'll look at Pepe for you too, Jay Freeman. Pepe also finding a little bit of VWAP support here. We've got another weekly VWAP here where if you start trending over that weekly VWAP, look at that. You got a nice 20% move up there to that inauguration VWAP. You just want to see some strength over that weekly VWAP first, because otherwise you're kind of knife catching in a downtrend. And you don't have to catch this bullish LeapFrog play, because honestly, if you abide by that 5-day downtrend, may not be the best time. It's not the best environment to be longing right now. But there is a bullish weekly LeapFrog play to the upside there, even if that is some larger term resistance. That's also a region where, like, if we can pump over that, things can get a little more hopeful, but pretty much in the same boat as some of the other coins, man. Pro Trader Weeks wants me to look at Doge. Doge had a really nice move here. So when a new quarter begins, guys, we love to like see that eventual retest of the previous quarter's VWAP. Doge was avoiding it for a really long time, but we finally are now getting that previous Q4 VWAP retest. I would expect a little bit of a bounce here, potentially a retest of that inauguration VWAP. It just may not be the best risk management, again, because you're in a 5-day downtrend there. So there's likely a short, up at that Trump VWAP here at like 35 cents, 36 cents. There might be a short here on Doge like cooking in the next couple days, but for the time being, it might have to fill this weekly LeapFrog here, bouncing off of this powerful Q4 VWAP support. What I love about the 5-day downtrend, guys, is it tells me when not to trade as much as it tells me when to trade. And so I love to trade along with the slope of that 5-day trend. Given that it's down here, I love these weekly LeapFrog plays. I love the daily LeapFrog plays and the monthly LeapFrog plays, but it doesn't always have to go back to the previous period's VWAP. I only tend to take those moves if like the 5-day trend is backing me up, and that improves my win rate a lot. So there's a way to interpret these mixed signals in a way that can actually like earn you some money. But there is like some mixed signals here. Pumping in a downtrend is basically what's going on here. Crypto Polo wants me to look at Link's daily bear div. Link is a project that I definitely believe in, man. It's a core coin in like any serious crypto portfolio. And so it's a coin that's really important to people. It's important to me, man. Link's done me good in the past. Right now, finding support on that year-to-date VWAP. I would say watch what it's doing around this very powerful support, man. If it can start trending over the weekly VWAP and bouncing off this year-to-date support line, this is very powerful year-to-date VWAP support here at $23.25. Weekly and year-to-date support. So if you've gained traction from this point, you likely pump up into that downtrend resistance there. You could get as high as $25 Link. And this confluence of resistance up here is the level that Link needs to get over to get bullish again. So keep your eye on that $25 level there on Link. Lane's Phone asks an interesting question. He says, what do you think about MicroStrategy? I actually have quite a bearish take macro-wise on MicroStrategy. So, every truth comes in God's time. So I may be super early in this assessment, but it just seems like something that can't go on forever, especially if Saylor keeps buying and keeps buying and keeps... He's basically investing like a degen. And so he's not acting like smart money. He's acting like retail. He's acting like dumb money, buying at all-time highs. When you have that much money and that many people in your lifeboat, I believe that you have a responsibility to jump in and go ham on the market when the data suggests it. So when we look at Bitcoin, from a lifetime perspective, monthly chart type shit, guys, if you were Michael Saylor, if I was Michael Saylor, I would not be buying with other people's money at this type of reading. He's basically buying like at this point right here, or like at this point right here. Like that's when Michael Saylor is buying with other people's money. And so he could be lucky. He could, everything could work out and he could become the king of the world, But, in the past with Bitcoin, when countries have bought in, that was a top, like when a big player starts moving like this, it can also be a toppy kind of signal. And I'm not sure what level it would have to go to put the squeeze on Michael Saylor, but it could be a future bear market catalyst if he keeps investing irresponsibly. So that's basically my take on the Saylor situation, is he's like not really a good influence on the everyday investor. Siza Cito says, what's your thoughts on ETH? So my thoughts on ETH, I went over them earlier, but my thoughts on ETH basically have a lot to do with ETH BTC chart. And you can see that ETH BTC, when there is a single quarterly VWAP that's at least gone sideways, I will be more bullish on ETH BTC. I really tried my best last October when this blue October VWAP spawned. We had the money flow coming up. See that money flow coming up for you guys. We had anchor triggers and a nice bullish setup here on ETH BTC. And I was a firebrand for ETH. And I got us into a couple great ETH long plays that got us up to this point. But unfortunately, ETH BTC was never able to even surpass Q3 VWAP resistance. So this is a terrible downtrend that ETH is in relation to BTC. It's going to take a quarterly VWAP. Like, let's say this quarter is the bottoming quarter. This VWAP, we need it to like at least go sideways for us going into April, like this. It's like it needs to like do something like this, and then like Q2, at the start of Q2, maybe that could be like the first true upward quarterly VWAP. And at this point, the ETH BTC chart looks like more of a no-brainer. But right now, it is quite the knife catch. And so, yes, it's good value from like a long-term, lifetime standpoint. If you can just DCA into it and forget about it, then it's good value right now. But if you're trading and like hoping to catch the big long, it's not quite the time on ETH, in my opinion. Cali Crop Doc is asking me about Monero. I love Monero, man. It's like one of my favorite coins, and I love that. I actually kind of have mixed feelings on the McAfee AI account that got like his ex-girlfriend or something like made an AI that's replicating McAfee's personality on Twitter. But I don't know if that has any effect on Monero's price. I just know he was a big advocate of Monero when he was alive. But does look like it's pulling itself into a downtrend right now. You got some weekly resistance. It's got to get over 215, that inauguration VWAP, to go bullish again. As of right now, it's getting pulled into a downtrend. That 4-hour money flow pouring out a bit. And this daily chart's not looking too hot, to be honest, guys. Like, the price is going up, and these waves kind of flattened out here on the daily. On the 4-day, you see, like, instead of 2 waves, it's 1. It's like a double-headed divergent wave here on the 4-day. Could go up more, could get more divergent for sure, but is it the time to tell your grandma to buy Monero? Probably not. Luis was asking about these VWAPs. So if you want to set up a VWAP, good question, Luis, man. Sorry for answering your question late, bro. But if you want to set up a VWAP, you could always set up a custom VWAP using the anchored VWAP tool over here on the left. You click this tool and you can place it on any candle you want. And that is how you set up a custom VWAP. Or you could go into your indicators and search anchored VWAP here. And there is a free anchored VWAP, and it's a single VWAP you could adjust the date to, the date and time. Or if you want this like comprehensive VWAP tool that I created called LeapFrog V3, follow the instructions in the description below. And I'm offering this indicator for like 60% off right now. Comes with the Discord, videos, and chats and everything. And it's a good tool for you to be able to cycle through all these charts and check out all the important VWAPs on all of them in rapid succession. And that was something I invented to make these streams just a little bit more efficient. Nico Dex, we got a pulse chain, a fellow pulse chain bro in the chat. He wants me to look at PDI. PRC20. Yo, Nico, can you tell me the actual chart ticker for PRC20? Is it P wrapped BTC? Is this what the chart's called? I don't know the ticker on that, bro. PDI. It's not actually called PDI, is it? I will say that I did start like dollar cost averaging into the Pulse ecosystem, like very, very small. I got some hex last week, and I want to keep, like, I want to get like 1 million hex this year. And I want to start looking at this Pulse ecosystem a little bit more, but it's going to take time. As I said, it's going to follow Ethereum. So Ethereum needs like a whole quarter to flatten out, and so I think Pulse chain ecosystem does as well. But it might be something to start like slowly DCAing into or something. Is this the chart right here with this D? I don't think this is it, man. I feel stupid right now, man. Oh, change all types filter to just Pulse X. Here we go. This shit right here. Boom. Okay, DEX only. Okay, I see. I'm figuring it out slowly. Wrapped Pulse / DAI stablecoin. Pulse. Pulse X. Yeah, man, there's just a lot of... I guarantee you that a lot of these coins, bro, they're under all of their VWAPs in a very stiff downtrend. You know, despite Ethereum looking like it wanted to pull up and stuff, like, I would just be very careful on Pulse ecosystem for now, because ETH BTC is in a very steep downtrend. So, I am not a pulse chain hater, bro. I think that it's actually a very asymmetric bet. Like if you have a million hex, it's like 10 grand to get a million hex right now. And if hex ever goes to $1, you just turn 10 grand into $1 million. So the entire pulse ecosystem is like that. But you just got to ask yourself, what kind of trader, what kind of investor are you? Are you ready to take on that risk at this current point in time? It's probably something that you want to slowly expose yourself to over the next 6 months or so. And that's my take on this ecosystem. And I'm going to get better at pulling up these charts for you, bro, and not looking like such a retard. Palm Paradise wants me to look at DOT real quick. And then I gotta go because I gotta go for a hike and I gotta handle some errands. But look at DOT underneath this VWAP gulag, guys. You might have a little bit of a pull back to the upside. If it can trend over $5.80 here, there is that weekly leapfrog to the upside. A nice little 9% scalp. I would consider it a scalp, but you'd be pumping up into a strong 5-day downtrend. So I would look at the waves at that point on these medium time frames. If things get bearish up here around that inauguration VWAP, DOT probably gets slammed back down. A lot of resistance overhead here. And look, there's no VWAP support below. This is madness, bro. Madness. All that old support turning into resistance now. So little bit of a scary chart here from a VWAP standpoint. And Dragon Hawk just popped in the chat. I guess I gotta do let me help out my boy Dragon Hawk here before I go, man. Let's look at Giga. If you're long in Giga, it's found some good VWAP support, but again, you're in that big downtrend there, under that year to date. You got that bearish bias from being under that year to date. Tough chart, man. This is just a steep downtrend, man. The trend is your friend until the end. If you lose 5.2 cents here, it kind of does go into price discovery to the downside, where you don't really have much strong macro support. Let's put a VWAP back here. Yeah, you could see that side. It is at a point now where like a VWAP from its macro low, this is a critical point that it needs to hold. If we start falling below this, you start anticipating that full rotation from like, volatile price discovery up in these outer reaches of that VWAP band. Now we're at the midline. It does make sense that maybe if it loses this level, it wants to go all the way down to like the downside of this band, potentially at like 3.6 cents or lower, if this downtrend continues. Overall, I'm quite bearish on like a majority of Giga shitcoins because there's so many shitcoins that it's almost like ruining alt season. Like there's gonna be winners. There's gonna be big winners. Even if Bitcoin dumps, there's gonna be coins sending. But I feel like gone are the days of having a portfolio with like 100 or 200 cryptos in it. And a lot of coins are gonna have their the liquidity is gonna be stripped for the next best thing, the new shiny thing. And this is a different space than it ever was in the past, where the money is just being infinitely stretched into a million different things. But I didn't even look at Trump coin. Oh fuck, man, I gotta look at Trump coin real quick. That's like the most important coin ever. Trump coin in a strong downtrend here. What is the retracement that we've seen so far on this? Yeah, Trump is, we're past that maximum pain threshold here. We're past the 786. Looks like we've come down about 70.1%. Big pullback on Trump. May not be done yet. It's actually kind of lucrative to like just let this settle out, guys, because it could keep going lower with this big 5-day downtrend that Trump is in. You do have some bullish indications here. We did go lower here on the price, and this 5-hour chart at least is showing a bull div. But very early knife catching type of signal here. If you wanted to be safe with Trump, you would wait for that 5-day SMA to be reclaimed. Wait for that 5-day SMA to kind of pull up into a more healthy uptrend for you. And just take the easy road. Don't do the dirty work for other people when it comes to this. Because it is a risky shitcoin that could go to crap. Could also have long-term potential because it is backed by the president's family. So, personally for me, I might get some Trump in the future, but I'm going to just wait for like that 5-day trend to scoop up a little bit. And I'm not trying to catch the knife on Trump. And that's pretty much my take, guys. So that's it for me for this stream. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Remember to show compassion over on Twitter and be a voice of positivity. Don't be bear posting and rubbing in people's faces being a goblin. You never know when that karma is going to come back around on you, man. So God bless you guys. Have a good one. Like and subscribe. Drop a comment on the video, and see you guys in the next one.